Okay, that was my attempt at being one of the Hodge twins. Unfortunately, I'm not mulatto enough, nor incredibly built enough, or have like a twin sitting right behind me who will eventually come to be right in front of me and tell me to shut the fuck up. But and if you don't know who they are, go onto YouTube, find them. They're entertaining. They're not gonna be everyone's cup of tea, but I find them entertaining. And I do almost have the teeth to be a Hodge twin. Um, so hi, how's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a good weekend. Um, the week was semi uneventful. There was a birthday involved, so yay. I'm older, yay. And then, um, let's see, job hunting, school. That's the whole thing. There may be, I may be popping up again sometime during next week, maybe Monday or so, with another little podcast. Not podcast. I don't know why I called this a podcast. This is me just practicing talking a lot, and apparently feeding my ego because I don't seem to care the fact that no one watches these. But school is driving me flippin' nuts. Joseph is doing better. He's eating. He's not normally in as much pain anymore. Um, he's going nuts because he just doesn't like the antibiotics or Vicodin that he's on, but he's taking less of the Vicodin, and eventually he'll be able to go out in the sun again. He's even like singing "Call Me Maybe" right now while taking a shower, so he's doing better. And speaking of annoying songs, really sorry, Archie, about putting that "It's Friday" song in your head Friday. Thought about posting the instrumental version in your honor, but chose not to because you gave me a really evil look. School's driving me nuts. I'm in a class right now that, let's see, it's Com 200. What do they call this stupid class? It is, I'm just waiting for the page to load here while I talk here. It is not going to load anytime soon, but basically it's media and society. It's a whole class talking about how media affects society and how society views things. And it would be fine if the class was well balanced, discussing, whether or not the possibility whether society actually molds media, which I kind of hold more of because unless it's controlled by the government, media is a business, and businesses ultimately want to make money. How are they going to make money? By doing what the public wants them to do. You may not agree with Fox News, but there's a whole bunch of people who do, and they're the ones that keep Fox News in business, while you who don't agree with Fox News keep the other stations in business. That's how it works. If there weren't people out there who wanted to hear that outlook on news that Fox puts out there, Fox wouldn't do it. They wouldn't have the money to do it. They'd be out of business. Unfortunately, that type of thinking does not occur in this class. The type of thinking that occurs in this class is that Fox News is out there putting ideas into people's heads. Also, the part that kind of offends me and I think is kind of, that offends me, but there's also the idea that, violent movies make for violent children. There's studies that prove it. No, there aren't. There's studies that show that children mimic behavior, and when they see a violent movie, they sometimes will afterwards act in violent ways. Although many studies show that the actual violent behavior doesn't matter on what they're watching, it matters on who they're watching it with. If parents are watching shows with their children don't get violent afterwards typically. So, yeah, I have issues with that. I also have issues with how they're basically stating that people who want to see sex and violence in TV First of all, Hollywood is shoving this down our throats because studies show that people don't want sex and violence. If you take two scenes and take the violence and sex out of the same scene, everybody will prefer the second one and not even notice that anything is missing. To which I say bullshit. Um, because really, if Hollywood could get away with making everything, Disney G, they would do it. There's a reason why, and nothing in life and nothing in the arts has ever reflected that. There's always been sex and violence in every bit of the arts, always, always, always. It's a natural part of being alive. It's one of the 7 main drives I personally think that people have: survival, posterity, belonging, understanding. Then the Freudian twins, Thanatos and Eros, which would be like death, destruction. That's where the horror movies come in. Eros, love, sex. That's where the sex comes in. And then knowledge. That's basically the 7 drives. Everything comes down to those. And everybody has those 7 drives. Although knowledge is kind of more the luxury one. If you were going to put it on a hierarchy pyramid, it probably would be the top one, where survival would be the bottom one, where that's the basic one that needs to be met. And then everything else would kind of do like the new food. Oh, it's not even a new food pyramid anymore. Now it's a dinner plate. So never mind. Forget that visual. So that's how come this class is driving me nuts. It keeps on asking me to write essays about how would I recommend solving the problem of violence in TV. I don't have any sort of recommendation because I don't think there's a problem. And I don't think you can prove there's a problem. So that said, anybody feel free to pump in with your opinions on this, but my sister may have a differing viewpoint, but that's how I view it. I think this is a view that is horribly one-sided. Don't know what they would expect the arts to do without sex and violence as some of the key elements. And I just, it's also very insulting to, all of those who write literature and produce film that involves sex and violence, okay? Some of my favorite authors are horror authors. And are you trying to tell me that they're actually causing the downfall of society and causing children to become violent? Which, that's a whole other can of worms right there too. So we're not going to go down that one. I posted earlier, watched Galaxy Quest earlier today. Forgot how great that movie is. It's a better Star Trek movie than the Abrams Star Trek movie is. There's a rumor that Spock is going to die in the next Star Trek movie, which would make sense because Zachary Quinto doesn't want to be doing Spock really anything more than the next movie, supposedly. So, and a lot of people aren't going to even notice that being a bad thing because a lot of the Star Trek went so long without producing anything Star Trek as how we know it between the original series and the next generation that they could come up with a whole new cast of characters for these movies. And apparently there's going to be a whole bunch of people who think that the bridge always looked white and always had those bad, stupid white flashes of light from the camera glare or camouflage or whatever, which I hate. Looks like they're introducing Human Rand in the next one, so that's interesting. Let's see if we make her a bigger character. Also, that Darkseid is supposed to be the villain for the Justice League movie. Not saying that's a bad idea. Just saying, well, if the Justice League movie goes over well, what are you doing as a sequel? You already had them face the god of evil, basically. Having them, then go and fight those losers, the Royal Flush Gang, is kind of a letdown after that. So, not sure what they were. Just seems like they're starting a little big. And that's all I got to say on that one. Uh, Posed a question to some people in the past. Even asked Patrick from Scream Queens. I can't find my charger cable for my iPod that connects it to the computer, so I haven't been able to update and hear his latest podcast. So I think I'm gonna have to go buy a new one, which sucks. But basically, the idea is, why doesn't horror work well on TV? And there are exceptions. Okay. Walking Dead is working well, but basically the zombies are kind of more incidental. It's more of an apocalyptic or, disaster TV show, and it's about the people, which, good horror should always be about people. Then there was Friday the 13th, the series. That lasted, but that was actually an anthology series that just happened to have recurring characters every episode but the actual story involved strangers, and therefore it was really their story. And then suddenly Roby popped up to pick up the item, and put it in their little shop. Let's see, there was another one that came up. I know people are going to come up with American Horror Story as a success, and it actually falls into the category of what I think the problem is. And that is, in a good horror story, there has to be a believable threat to the characters. And if you're going to have a good TV show, you want people to have characters they like to tune into every week. Anthologies work because people know that they're not going to get attached to the same characters every week. And we've actually moved away from anthologies. Anthologies aren't that popular anymore. They had to do Friday the 13th, the series, so that we had recurring characters that we were following, but we still had an anthology where the threat could really occur. You take Walking Dead actually has done a good job of creating threat, and oh wow, a major character could really die. But then you have 666 Park Avenue. Not a bad show. But we have some main characters here. They're not going to die anytime soon. So every time the threat comes up, it's not going to happen. And we know that any new character that pops up who just suddenly pops up in episode 6, they're either there to die, or they're there to introduce a plot point and never be seen again. Horror on TV is difficult. American Horror Story works because each season has been its own story, therefore they can dispose of a character because that story is over by the end of the season. So I really think that that's the big problem, and I'm not sure how they could overcome that easily for TV. BBC has done some, but at the same time, a lot of those are season-to-season storylines, so they can kill off whoever they want to, season-to-season. Poltergeist: The Legacy, I know, went on for a while. I don't even know how that one occurred. I know Grimm's successful. It's more of a police procedural. Just happens to have furry beasts in it. True horror story, it's tough without disguising it or making it an anthology. Walking Dead is the closest thing. Or American Horror Story, which, like I said, takes care of it by not having the series be about something. It has each season be about something, and then the next season something different. One of my all-time favorites was American Gothic. I don't know what they could have done for a second season. Okay, it's kind of a good thing it got canceled at the end of the first season. I got to resolve a lot of things, leave things open-ended, and you still got to leave the show knowing that you don't fuck with Buck. Get a chance, watch American Gothic. Great show. It works as the miniseries that Stephen King always wished his stuff would be. So that's kind of where I'm at. Oh, and the Indoor Kids, another great podcast. If you get it, they're gamers. I don't do gaming. You know, that type of gaming. Don't do that. If it dice, okay, fine. Yahtzee, woo, or chaotic evil. But if it goes beep 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 boop boop boop, I can do the Wii because I'm just waving my arms around. I can't do buttons. But they do a great show. It's very entertaining, and they commented on American Horror Story in a way that I thought very much describes it. It's a show that you can't tell if it's any good, but you watch it because you're entertained. And that's kind of what I feel, especially this season. This season of American Horror Story is just a clusterfuck of train wreckery. I'm addicted to watching it every episode just because I gotta see what the hell are they gonna do next. Aliens, mutants, nuns, Satan, Nazis, Anne Frank. Let's see. There seems like there's a serial killer, and that's. We've only gotten halfway through. Oh, and some guy dressed up as Santa who killed people too. So we're touching upon one of my favorite horror movies, or my Christmas movie, Silent Night, Bloody Night. There, so it's just preposterous. It is actually the worst hodgepodge of science fiction cliches or horror cliches all tossed together into one storyline that I'm just dying to know what are they going to put in next. I'm entertained. It's horrible. I'm entertained. That said, I know that dinner is probably being thought of. Oh, no pets this time. No pets this time. You're not going to get to see like any cats or guinea pigs or a fish dangling in front of my face. Just me, a hat. Hope everyone is having a good weekend. Like I said, you may get a little update again come like Monday or Tuesday. And until then, keep it happy. Check out Ginny Koch. Love her. She's got a pink hat. Check out Scream Queens. You want to hear intelligent, humorous commentary about horror thing, or just be entertained, even if you don't care about horror. Patrick's Scream Queens. Indoor Kids, again, intelligent, humorous. You don't have to be involved in gaming to find them funny. Get a chance, check out the Hodge Twins on YouTube. I don't even know where to go with them. And that's it. And if you get a chance and you're in Glendale, check out Bitsy Mamas. They do great food. I believe they're on like 50 something Avenue on just north of Glendale. It's kind of in the downtown area. They'll be right across from where all the trees are. And if you want to check out a great comic book store, Samurai Comics. Woohoo! As a matter of fact, well, more on that later. So, which has nothing to do with me going woohoo about them. But keep it good, and